2020 has just been a train wreck of a year. But would I have it any other way? Yes, of course. There's literally no justification for this year. And if you think the same way, well, this podcast is for you, me, and everyone else who doesn't have a clue on how to live this human life on this confusing planet. I'm Chez, your host for the How Do You Even Human podcast, available now on YouTube and everywhere you can get your podcasts. So here are my 20 lessons I got from this absurd year of 2020. Number one, nothing is definite at all. I think this is the number one lesson that everyone has learned this year because, we all had these plans. I had this one big project that I wanted to start in my school. I wanted to pursue this new hobby, which needs physical interaction and stuff like that. However, 2020 just be like, okay, your plans won't push through. I had all these travel plans and 2020 just ruined everything. So yeah, I think what we can learn from this is that we need to learn to be adaptive and flexible to any changes that happen in our lives. Number two, have more than one career or income stream. This is more the practical financial side of stuff because maybe before we can have one career in our whole life that will make you successful already, but now wherein times are changing so fast, jobs are gone left to right because one, the industry might change, robots will take over, and the industry will suddenly be gone. I do theater. I'm in the entertainment industry right now. However, because of the pandemic, we can't have any of that because entertainment, theater, gathering, all of that stuff, it ain't allowed. So I ventured here on podcast. I ventured into I'm gonna start my small business soon. I hope next month. And just having that more than one income stream, whether it's a pandemic or not, it just sets you up for life, and you have something to back you up. Number three, perception is different from reality. Now, how can we contextualize this? I saw this philosophy, stoicism, wherein you can control how you respond to everything and how you perceive, because people interpret situations and things differently based on their own experiences. And with this pandemic, it's more of a mindset thing, because the reality is that everything that's happening right now is just really bad. But because reality, you have to accept it first before you actually do something with it, because there's this equation I think, or no, there's this steps, because there's the experience, whether that's good or bad. You have a reaction to it that might be immediate or might be not, and you have a response. The reaction, it may be involuntary. However, your response to that reality, to that situation, you can choose that, and you can choose to interpret it the way you want. So sometimes we interpret reality so differently because for past trauma, past experiences that are affecting everything. I've tried to look at this situation right now in a more pragmatic way, not really in a positive way. We can't always be optimist, we can't always be ideals. I'm looking at it in a more pragmatic way. What can I do with it? How can I help people currently? Number four, and I think this is a reality check for everyone. People don't care about you. This year, I have learned this a lot, because once we are isolated from everyone, once we are right now, especially in this pandemic now, I realized that no one cares about you more than yourself. As I have reflected these past few months, people just care about themselves. So if you want to do something in your life, just go for it. okay? Like, I started this podcast. I don't even know if it will gain traction or not, but still, I started it because I was like, I don't care about what people say anymore. I love expressing my thoughts, so here you go. Number 5, and this is related to the previous tip. Healthy validation comes from yourself. I've noticed before I used to get so much validation from others, and I think it's because of the nature of my job, my interests. Like when I get a like, when someone praises me, when someone validates me, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that's like I'm validated now. However, it didn't give me that like long term, like meaningful validation. And when I started doing things for myself, just doing these like little hobbies, I've learned, this in this pandemic, I tried to be more visually artistic. 'Cause, like I don't have any visual art skills at all. And also, I also started to learn how to play the piano, and just doing it for myself and validating myself. Wow, you're so good. That gave me a much more meaningful and a much healthier validation, because it came from myself and I know that within my own standards I did a good job. So that's healthy validation. Next, only ask for opinions from people who are rooting for you. This lesson, I was able to differentiate between good criticism and bad criticism, because if your life is out there, people will say everything about you, whether it's like the nastiest thing or it's like the best thing. However, if you just set aside that useless negative criticism and just ask people, who are rooting for you, who know you, who want you to be successful, then whether that criticism is like so harsh or just the best, criticism ever, that person, especially if you ask that person for their opinion and they are rooting for you, then that's where you'll grow. That's where you'll improve. Okay. Number 7, reach out to old friends. I'm very much an introvert, okay? I get my energy from myself. I like being alone. But that doesn't mean I'm shy or anything. That doesn't mean I'm not confident. Like, I still love going to parties and socializing with people, meeting new people, all of that stuff. But I can't like maintain them. I can't, just be, attending to people all the time. I like my alone time. However, I tried to actually like force myself, okay, reach out to old friends, and good thing, my old friends also reach out to me. And it was a good feeling because all these memories came back and all these like happy thoughts, and like when you guys were still friends came back. It was just a really good feeling because you've invested into that friendship. So why not maintain it? Why not reach out to them again? Because you never know. You don't want to die alone. Like, I always thought I was gonna die alone. That's like INTJ stuff. However, especially now that we can't really talk to people physically, just social media is there. Use the tools that we have now in the 21st century and reach out to those friends. Number 8, use fear and failure as a tool. I hated failure. I had this complex wherein I had this like perfectionist complex wherein it was bad. It was high school and the status quo and everything was just pressuring. And when I tried leaning into fear, I learned this from Ali Abdal. When I tried leaning into fear and challenging myself, not being afraid of whether I'd fail or not, That's when I started to actually grow and grow out and go out of my comfort zone and learn new stuff, meet new people, and um, just challenge myself to be a better version of myself. Because as the old saying goes, you can never grow in your comfort zone. You actually have to lean into that fear, because that fear means that you actually care. Means you care about yourself, you care about your goals in life, you care about your dreams, and you care about improving. And number 9, this is like a really like small but practical tip. This is learn how to do domestic work alone. There are times, especially now that we are so like isolated from people and we can't really reach out to people physically. Learning how to do domestic work alone and just work in general alone, it'll make you more independent and you can actually live life smoothly. Like if you have to, I don't know, fix a sink, or because it's suddenly leaking, or you have to cook food for yourself because I don't know, delivery is gone. You can't really make deliveries at the moment. Just learning how to do them yourself, especially if you are alone, and that's good. Number 10. This is the most important tip I'm telling you, and the most direct tip that 2020 has taught me. Health and fitness should be a priority. Just wash your hands, wear a mask, practice good hygiene, exercise regularly, eat well, sleep well, sleep well. Yes, I'm telling that to myself. I'm reminding that to myself. Will make you a happier person, because if it manifests physically, it will also manifest mentally. There's this like changing your state thing. It's a real thing that, if you see it physically, or if you feel it physically, then the brain will also register it as, as good. And your mental health will improve. Number 11, it's okay to be like other people. Before 2020, when I had the time to actually reflect on my life, I was a person who was like, I want to be unique. I want to stand out. I'm not like other girls. And I hated being like other people. I always wanted to like different music. I will always want to wear unique clothes. That it limited me from actually liking and enjoying stuff. Let people enjoy things. Okay, and let yourself enjoy things, and you don't always have to be unique. You don't always have to be different, because liking stuff that other people also like too, that's being human. You don't have to be special. If we always have this like ideal view of ourselves, we'll beat ourselves up if, metaphorically, okay, we'll beat ourselves up if we're like too common, to like other people and all that stuff. That it's okay actually to be like other people. It's okay to be like other girls. Let yourself enjoy things, okay? Don't let your internalized misogyny not let you enjoy things, okay? Number 12, yourself is never fixed. I've talked about this in my previous podcast with the existential episode with Bella, and we're not like a peach wherein we have a core. We're more like an onion. We have our surface level layers, we have our deep layers, but then there's no core, there's no authentic self that will be there forever. That's why if you want to change your bad habits, if you want to improve yourself, then go. It's really toxic behavior if you're like, oh my gosh, well, this is me. I can't change that about myself. Or, well, you just have to accept me for who I am. And if you can't, you just don't be my friend anymore. Just don't be with me anymore. And you're not letting yourself grow. And by doing that, you're limiting yourself, and the self is limitless. You can be whoever you want to be. And if you want to improve yourself, if you want to remove those bad habits, go for it. Because yourself is never fixed. Number 13. And this is like a fun lesson that I have learned this 2020, and I think people can relate. And this, it's okay to be childish. I think during the quarantine, we all regressed into our childhood likes. Like, for example, I was suddenly into Avatar, The Last Airbender recently, and that is like my only fandom at the moment, like mainstream fandom. And I was just so obsessed with it, and it was like it was a form of escapism. You know, sometimes we have to just escape from the struggles of reality. And one way to do that is to be like a child, you know? You know what Jesus said? Be like a child. Number 14. Hobbies can just be hobbies. I think in today's society, people always taught us that, you know, everything we need to do, there always has to be results. Always have to do it for a certain goal. You always have to monetize it. Oh my gosh. I fell into this trap. But then if you just do things for what they are and experience life just by simply experiencing it and just cherishing the moment, living in the moment and not thinking of whether this will turn into something big, then that's actually the meaning of living and being human, okay? Number 15. This when I realized the power of music and performance. This is a common thing with anyone who has studied the arts technically, whether you're like a film major, when you studied film, like now you can only focus on the technical aspects of it. You can't fully enjoy it anymore. If you studied music, you'll just listen to the music theory behind it, how the different chord progressions go, and you can't just like simply vibe to the music. And if you studied theater or acting, and then you're just like, wow, I love that acting choice. Ooh, I think they could have done that line better, or that blocking or that acting choice could have gone a different way. And a lesson for myself this year is that I tried to just enjoy art, enjoy music, enjoy film, enjoy theater, and not just drowning out all the technical stuff. And that's when I started to actually live. Okay, like I watched Call Me by Your Name, and not and I was and I tried. I told myself, you're not gonna criticize any of the actors' performances or their acting choices, even though Timothy Chalamet is literally one of the greatest actors of our generation. You're not gonna do that. And God, I wanted to die after that film because emotional roller coaster. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil anything. And I've tried to, make my Spotify better. Like, I tried to create playlists wherein, which just made me feel like the main character and just was vibing to it. And oh my gosh, it just romanticized my life. Like, even when I'm washing the dishes, I felt like I'm in this like indie movie wherein I'm like the main character, just, being edgy and like living life and all of that stuff. Okay, I learned that we should just enjoy art for the sake of being art sometimes. Okay. Number 16. This is related to being an SJW. And what is an SJW? Social justice warrior, aka in other words, being a social media activist. Like, oh my god. AKA performative activism, wherein you just do activism for clout. This was me during high school. Yeah, I'm just like I had the beliefs. I had the beliefs, and really believed in them, like, feminism, environmentalism, LGBT rights. I believed in them, but then, especially people in high school, wherein you're just doing things so you can influence people or get people to like you. I did it for the clout. And when I got into college, especially UP, and when I literally reflected on what I did for my advocacies, I realized, oh my gosh, I was just doing that for clout. So this year, I started to actually, execute my advocacies, doing on ground stuff that actually had tangible impacts. And that's when your activism is actually good and it's actually effective. Okay. And number 17, and this is related to activism, and it's okay to disagree. I think now we're in this like age where hyper partisanship is a big thing and it's a common thing, and we can't really move forward because we keep on disagreeing and stuff. And I just realized that, especially now that I've tried to not be an idealist, like I've tried to be a realist this year, we can't really move forward. We can't really change our society if we just keep on disagreeing. It's okay to have disagreement, especially if they're not really trampling on your human rights. Like, that's something we cannot disagree in, okay? But especially like if it's just subjective beliefs, it's okay to disagree and stuff. We might have different solutions to these societal issues, and that's okay, because change is gradual, and I think the most effective change is gradual, and that type of change will only happen if we can settle on our disagreements. I'm sorry if you might disagree on that statement that I did, but it's okay. I've learned to accept disagreement. And number 18, and oh my god, this is like, when was being mean cool? Like, why? Why was being mean cool? Being mean is not cool at all. Just be nice. You don't have to be a bad bee. Bad bee, that word. You don't have to be that person. I've tried just being, just a generally agreeable, nice, kind, sunshine type of personality person this year, and it made me and the people around me happier. Just don't be mean. It's not cool. You don't have to be savage. You don't have to be bad. You don't have to be a bad bee. Cliche as it sounds, being nice will make you likable. 19. It's okay and a blessing to take time. Do what you're doing. Because everything is so fast-paced right now that we have to produce the best results in the most little amount of time possible. And that's just not sustainable for us as human beings. So just experiencing life, taking your time, cherishing that moment. Oh my god. That's when you actually feel like you're living. And number 20, and which is the last lesson that I've learned, this is to document everything down to the specifics, because we never know if something will just be a memory, if something will just be an idea or in the thought and you haven't written it down. Especially, when you have those like 3 a.m. thoughts wherein you just thought of a New York Times bestseller novel idea and you're just like, I didn't write it down. Now I forget it. Have a notes app everywhere. Your phone is your greatest tool. So take that picture, take that video, write that down, because you can't really trust your brain, because your brain forgets a lot of stuff unless you have like photographic memory or something. You can't really trust your brain. So having that, tangible document of everything that you did and everything that you thought of. You can just like look back and think, wow, I can't believe I experienced that. I can't believe I thought that. And it might turn out to be beautiful. So, those are the 20 lessons I learned from 2020, the train wreck of a year 2020. And the bottom line is that to be a better human, with everything that I learned in 2020, just be super, just be realistic and live life the way it is. And that's when you'll actually realize the meaning of living your higher purpose, if we must say that. This is the How Do You Even Human podcast. Thank you for watching and / or listening, even though I haven't released an episode for these past few weeks. We will be chatting again very soon. I hope soon. In the next episode. Bye-bye or whatever.